Welcome back, Hive Mind. This is Shalazar with Hive Mind Gaming, coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Now, before we get into this video, I'd like to comment on my last video, an update on it, because I heard a lot of feedback, which I appreciate, guys. Absolutely appreciate all your feedback. So one of the things that I'd like to point out is that when I do these videos, I try to do them before I watch anyone else's video, before I see any kind of other feedback. That way, I can come up with my own opinions on the matter and not be influenced. So those were my initial opinions when just reading it for the first time, and I still stand by it, kinda. And what I mean by that is, I still think that 4 Sacreds for a guaranteed legendary is still a good deal. I really wasn't taking in consideration the 5-star chicken, and because I really didn't put much thought into how that would affect losing that extra 5-star chicken, because it's a lot of resources to get food up to 5 stars to use it as a 5-star chicken. So I definitely can see everyone's point on that, and absolutely can agree with it, that it does suck. But if it was just the 4 Sacreds for the guaranteed Lego, I would be down for it. Absolutely 100%. Now, with that being said, a lot of the comments that I received, a lot of it I absolutely agree with. Like, for instance, the fact that what happens when you already have the Lego. So for 4 months, you're sitting there with the idea that you're going to get a guaranteed Lego, but it's going to be a Lego you already have. So kind of makes it depressing knowing that that's the legendary you're going to get. I don't disagree there. That does suck, and I could see where that would just make the next 4 months of playing and signing in every day kind of bleh. But with that being said, it's kind of no different than pulling Sile the Drakes before you actually get Sile the Drakes, or anyone else for that matter. God forbid, Vixix, something like that. So it's no different than that. Still, yes, I agree, it sucks. I do think, and I've said this before, like when they brought out the bazaar and had the fragments in the bazaar, and now they're going to have the fragments in the clan bazaar or the clan shop. I still stand by the fact that it should be a universal fragment that you can use on any champion that is a fragment fusion of some kind. I truly believe that, and if they did something like that, I mean, I absolutely would stand behind it 100%, because at that point you can throw the fragments toward any fragment fusion that you missed. Or the big one is if it's a person coming in that just started the game and now they missed the fragment fusion for someone in the past that was really good, say like Herndig. I think he was a classic fusion, but if it was a situation where Herndig was a fusion and they missed it, then if there was a universal fragment, then they can come in as a brand new player and still have the ability to fuse that champion. They're never going to do that. The company is never going to do that. And the reason they're never going to do that, because that's totally going to screw them on people buying shards. It's just never going to happen. Would I love to see that, and would I love to see that happen? Absolutely. And I think it would be fantastic, especially for free-to-play players. But it's never gonna happen. I mean, I wouldn't even hold my breath. I wouldn't hold my breath for that, guys, because it's just not. The company is money hungry, and they're gonna do what's in their best interest to make money, and that is not how they do it. And I do agree that this was absolutely a money grab. That this was their way of taking away another guaranteed chance to get a sacred shard. And so therefore, I mean, yeah, it's just a money grab. Like everything else they do. They do nothing they won't do anything to this game unless they think it's going to make them money. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop on this these clan updates. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop to find out what the issue is going to be that's going to cause people to want to spend money, because they don't put things in the game without an idea of how is this going to make me money. So it's not how is this going to make the game fun for other players. It's how is this feature going to make us money? And that's the way they look at every single thing that they put in the game. So I'm questioning, how are these new clan features that look really good to actually affect their bank account? So, just time will tell. All right. So now with that out of the way, thank you for listening to my rant. I do apologize. And it's okay that you guys disagree with my assessment. And I'm okay with that, because you know what? We can't grow as people if we don't disagree, right? If we all agreed, then it'd be a pretty boring world. All right, so let's get into this release that they just released today. It's the champions that are coming out in update 4.50. Now, we already went over the champions for the new Doom Tower champions that are coming out. The cool thing is we get to see their thumbnail, which is really cool. But another thing, we actually get to see what their books are going to look like. So not a surprise. They're gonna all be good readers. Because again, everybody complained about we want more books, so they put us more books, free books throughout the game, and then they just counteracted it with making all the new champs have more books required. So therefore, still causing people to want to buy books. I mean, it's just the way it is, guys. Everyone starts complaining about all these sacreds. They're gonna put more in, but they're gonna do something to completely screw us and make us want to buy more sacreds. I already see it coming. Absolutely already see it coming. All right. Cool thing is that we can see what the cooldowns are on their abilities and what it's going to book down to. So that ability is going to book down to 3 turn. That's going to book down to 3. Then we got Gwyneth, who looked fairly good, actually. And her big ability, the Flow of Malaise, looked like it goes down to a 3 turn cooldown. And again, tons of books. Dark Kyle. Let's see. So he goes down to a 3 turn cooldown there and a 3 turn cooldown there. Not surprised. And it does book up to 100% on both of those. Let's see. Varl goes down to a 3 turn. Books up to 100%. Yep. We kind of expected that. Vassal. Now this dude looks really good. That's a cool thumbnail too. All right, so this books down to a 3 turn and 100%. This one books down to a 4 turn. That I'm actually surprised about. I expected that to book down to a 3 turn. Okay. Let's see. Vasatha. It's our other lizardman dog. Let's see. So it books down to a 3 turn. Interesting. All right. Then we get into the new champions. So coming out with this fusion is going to be 3 legendaries, 5 epics, I believe, and 4 rares. Now, what that means is that you'll have the rares. You'll have to get 4 copies of each rare. That way you can fuse each of the epics, and then from the epics fuse the legendary. Now, if they do it the same as they've done it in the past, they'll typically be 2 events, usually a summon event, or maybe even both summon events and both champion training events. Either way, there's typically 2 or 3 events, typically only 2, but typically 2 events anyway, that will give you the opportunity to get one of the epics as well. So you'll typically have the opportunity to get all 4 of the epics with having 2 copies of 2 of them. So I don't know. So we'll see. Hopefully it'll be one of the good epics that we can get 2 copies if you're going for the fusion. If you're not going for the fusion, then just try to get the epics and you'll be good to go. All right, so our first legendary, who is not the fusion champ, is Leoris the Proud. He's a lion, looks like. He's a void affinity attack skinwalker. Let's see. His A1 attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 60% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. And damage increases by 20% if the targets has less than 60% HP. Let's see. I mean, not bad. I mean, the 60% decreased defense on an A1 is really good, and it's a 60% chance on 2 hits. There's a good chance he's gonna land it at least once. So his A2, Rage of the Pride, attacks all enemies 2 times. Oh wow, an AoE attack twice. Okay, good. That's always good. Passive effect. This champion is immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, and true fear debuffs when this skill is not on cooldown. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. So when it's not on cooldown. So if you lock that out, I mean, it would have to work that way, right? So if you lock it out with when we go into the ability to turn abilities on and off, if we lock it out, it means it's always on cooldown, right? Or off cooldown. So that means he's always immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, or true fear. Huh. His A3, Awesome Roar, attacks all enemies, has an 80% chance, that books up to 100% chance of placing a True Fear debuff for 1 turn. Before attacking, has an 80% chance of placing a Weaken debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. And that, of course, books up to 100% chance. It doesn't cool down, though, so that's still, it doesn't have a decrease to the cooldown, so it is 4-turn cooldown. But it attacks all enemies and places True Fear and Weaken. Huh. Interesting. Okay. I mean, that's a good ability. I guess I'm still kind of thrown off by the Rage of Pride. I really want to know how that works. I really want to know if they're considering it, because I know a lot of other champs, if you lock their stuff out, they're still considered to have that ability. It's just not on cooldown. I wonder how his works, though. All right, then his True Grit is a passive active effect. Instantly places an unkillable buff on this champion for 1 turn before receiving a fatal hit. And then damage increases as the champion's HP decreases. Ooh, interesting. By 1% for every 1% of the HP lost. Wow, but that's on a 4-turn cooldown. The passive effect is on a 4-turn cooldown. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Okay, that's yeah, that's got to be the active effect must be on a full 4-turn cooldown. All right, so it's just the way it's sitting there. Okay, and then his aura increases ally crit rate in all battles by 24%. All right, then we've got Mother Sybil, which is going to be our fusion champ, which we already went over. But she's a legendary force support Knights Revenant, which, let's see. So her A1, when it attacks, has a 25% chance of placing the decreased speed. That does book up to 50%. Her A2 actually books down to 3 turns. So that's really good. Because the revive on death, the only problem with that is you've got to be able to, you know, have an idea of when your person's gonna die. Let's see, and then the uncanny transfer, which is her A3, is on a 6-turn cooldown that books down to a 3 turn. So that's actually not bad. It's just whether or not you're going to be able to get that ability to work, and how to get it to work properly. And then Gravewalker, nothing's changed on that. All right, so I wasn't going to read all that because we went over that in our last video. And then we've got our first epic here. So I guess we're missing a legendary. Where's our other legendary? There it is. All right. Tumesia. Is that like the Chinese 9-tail fox? Because that would be pretty badass, but you would think that it would be a part of the Shadowkin instead of the Skinwalkers. But either way, it's a legendary void attack. Skinwalker attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. So decreased defense on its A1, just like the other one. The other legendary from the Skinwalkers has a 100% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns on the target before attacking if the target is under an HP burn debuff. Okay, so it's a 50% chance to do it normally, but it jumps up to a 100% chance of doing it if the target is under HP burn. Okay, cool. All right. And that was Fiery Battle Axe. Okay, so I guess this one's going to have a Fiery Battle Axe. All right, Cunning Chaos attacks all enemies. Has a 75% chance of placing a HP burn debuff for 3 turns. HP for 3 turns. Nice. Has a 75% chance, it books up to 100% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn on targets with 50% turn meter or more. So if they have more than 50% or more turn meter, then they get a stun as well. Has a 75% chance, it books up to 100% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns on targets with less than 50% speed turn meter. All right, so if they're below 50%, they get a decreased speed. If they're above 50%, they get a stun. And it's on a 4-turn cooldown that books down to a 3. That's not a bad ability, and it's an AoE, so that's not bad at all. Because we're placing HP burn and either a stun or a decreased speed. That's not bad at all. And we're hitting everybody. All right, Burning Regret. Let's see. Attacks one enemy. Damage increases by 40% for each active HP burn debuff in the battle. Up to 400%. So that's not even including... That's not even the bad guys. That's all of them. So that includes HP burns that are on your champs as well. That's pretty cool. Also has a 75% chance, it books up to 100% chance, of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%, decrease the target's turn meter by an additional 15% for each active HP burn debuff in the battle. And that's on a 4-turn cooldown, books down to a 3. So that's actually really good. Because you throw, I mean, she's going to be nasty in something like the Spider, where if you're throwing out HP burns, it's going to be hitting 15% for each active HP burn. Wow. That's pretty good. All right, when an ally receives a freeze debuff, has a 50% chance of replacing it with an HP burn for 2 turns instead. This debuff cannot be blocked or removed. Inner Heat is the name of this passive. Whenever an ally or enemy is under HP burn debuff, this champion is immune to stun, sleep, freeze, fear, true fear, and provoke debuffs. So if anyone is under HP burn debuff, then she's immune to all this stuff. Let's see. So if an ally receives a freeze debuff, has a 50% chance of replacing it with a HP burn. So, I mean, that's interesting. So freeze sucks because they lose their turn. But they do take less damage, but they lose their turn. HP burn sucks because when activated, everyone on your team takes damage, but you still get your turn. Freeze is definitely a worse debuff than HP burn, in my opinion. So actually, I don't mind that. I think that's actually really good. All right, so let's see. Let's go back up here. All right, so our first epic is going to be Magnar. It's going to be an epic Spirit Affinity HP Demon Spawn. Superheated Hammer. Attacks one enemy, has a 45% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Has a 100% chance instead if the target is under HP burn debuff. And that does book up to, looks like 65% chance. But it's 100% if they're under HP burn. Okay. Percussive Pound. Attacks all enemies, places an extra hit on enemies without HP burn debuff. Has a 50% chance placing a stun debuff for 1 turn if enemies are under HP burn debuff. Huh. Okay. So, and that's on a 4-turn cooldown, books down to a 3. So it's an extra hit if they don't have HP burn, but it could stun them if they're under an HP burn. I like that. Well, it has a chance to stun them. Yeah, it has a chance to stun them if they're under HP burn. The chance versus the double hit, I'd much rather have the double hit, I think. Let's see. All right, Fan the Flames is the A3. Attacks one enemy, applies a debuff spread effect, taking 2 random debuffs from the target and placing them on all members under HP burn debuffs. Also increases duration of HP burn debuffs on all enemies by 1 turn. I don't know how I like that. How much I like that. Will not spread fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, or stun. And it's on a 4-turn cooldown, books down to a 3. Yeah, I don't think I care. I mean, it doesn't do fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, or stun. And the fact that it only does it to the ones that have HP burn. I mean, you would think that you would want to put the HP burn debuffs on the targets that don't have HP burn. I mean, that's this guy's gimmick. I don't know. That just seems dumb. All right, the passive Flesh Melter. This champion heals by 1% of their max HP every time anyone in the battle takes damage from an HP burn debuff. That's cool. I do like that a lot, actually. That's a good good passive. Or increases ally defense in Doom Tower battles by 30%. Okay, that's fact that it's Doom Tower, blah. All right, Cornelia, there's no R there, Cornelia, epic magic support dwarf. Oh, she looks cool. Let's see, surprising swiftness. Attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of increasing the cooldown of one of the target skills by 1 turn at random. Interesting. Just one skill at random by 2 turns though? That's pretty cool. And it's a 40% that books down to a 50% chance. But on the A1, that's not bad actually. Piece of the Deep, basic. Oh, let's just read the Ascended. Has an 80% chance, it books up to 100% chance of placing a sleep debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. AoE sleep, there's too many AoE abilities, so I don't know how good that would be. Whenever an enemy loses a sleep debuff placed by this skill, has a 50% chance of replacing it with a fear debuff for 1 turn instead. On a 5-turn cooldown, books down to 3. That's actually pretty cool. Because at that point it doesn't really matter if you break it. But I mean, at that point, why wouldn't you just put in a champ that can just throw fears out there? I don't know, man. Revitalizing Rest is the A3. Places a sleep debuff on an ally for 1 turn. Heals that ally by 50% of their max HP and fills their turn meter by 50% whenever the sleep debuff expires or gets removed. Heals that ally by 100% and completely fills their turn meter if the sleep debuff is lost due to taking damage from an enemy. It's on a 4-turn cooldown that books down to a 2-turn cooldown. Interesting. That's interesting ability. I don't know if I like it or not, but that's an interesting ability. That's a pretty cool mechanic. Increases ally speed in all battles by 18%. All right. Ooh. Okay, that looks cool. Jerogen. It's an epic spirit HP Shadowkin. Monk's Spade. Oh, cool. A monk. Nice. Attacks one enemy, has a 45% chance that books up to looks like a 60% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. Fated Duel places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to 25% of their max HP. Then attacks one enemy, places a provoke debuff for 1 turn. Ooh. It's not a chance to do it. It just does it. Places it. Nice. It gets a lot of shield increases throughout the books here. If the target's max HP is equal to or lower than this champion's, the provoke debuff cannot be resisted. Oh, nice. Nice. Okay. And then it's on a 4-turn cooldown that books down to a 3. Then he's got True Smite on his A3, attacks one enemy, will ignore 25% of the target's defense, will also ignore unkillable and block damage buffs on a 4-turn cooldown that books down to a 3. Wow, wow. Okay. Yeah. Get rid of those swift parries, boys. That's what I'm talking about. And ignores defense. 25% defense. Oh, I hope that's got good multipliers. That's gonna be crazy. All right, Smiles at Death is his passive. Good name. Will receive 25% less damage from enemy attacks when this champion's HP drops to 50% or below. Nice. All right, that's a pretty good passive. Increases ally HP in all battles by 25%. That's pretty cool. Oh. Tolf the Maimed. Wow, that looks kind of cool. All right, he's an epic void HP orc. Wow, lots of HP champs in this patch. Blade Hand Butcher. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit heals this champion by 30% of the damage inflicted. This attack cannot be critical. That's stupid. That's lame. What do you mean it can't be critical? That's so lame. Alright. Cut Wide Open. Attacks one enemy. When not attacking bosses, inflicts pure damage and increases the target's HP to 50%. Decreases the target's HP to 50%. Alright. Inflicts damage based on this champion's max HP. Instead, and places a stun debuff for 1 turn if the target already has less than 50% HP. Wow. Okay, so it just, so if it's not a boss, it just wrecks them for 50% health. Holy crap. Inflicts damage based on this champion's max HP when attacking bosses. The attack cannot be critical. Well, I mean, that makes sense because you're just doing damage. I mean, you're just dropping their hit points. You're not actually doing damage. And it's on a 4-turn cooldown. The book's down to a 3. That's insane. Holy crap. Wow. All right. Armor Cracker passive decreases the value of all enemy shield buffs by 50% at the start of every turn. Then decreases this champion's max HP by the same amount up to 25% of their max HP. Whoa! Wow! Holy crap! I wonder if that affects someone like Brogni's, whose shield can't be removed. I mean, you're not removing it, you're literally just reducing it, but is that reduction counted as removing? Are you removing that portion? So that'll be interesting to see if that's a thing. So let's see. All right, the next champ we've got is Urogrim. He's an epic void support Ogren tribe. Skull Staff is his A1. His ascended is attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 25% chance that books up to, looks like a 45% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. Wow. Wow, that's actually pretty strong. Tingly Tinkler, huh? Okay, removes all debuffs from all ally, or from an ally, then heals them by 40% of their max HP. It's on a 5-turn cooldown. The book's down to a 3. And then Bizarre Vapors places 3 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. Also places 2 15% continuous heal buffs on all allies for 2 turns. It's on a 5-turn cooldown. The book's down to a 3. Wow. Wow, this guy's good. Oh, wow. This guy is going to be a dragon and clan boss champ. Oh my god, that's crazy. All right, so now let's see. All right, before we go into our rares, so 1 2 3 4 5. So there's 2 that are spirit, 1 magic, and then 2 void. So I wonder which one's not going to be a part of the fusion. Huh. I would say it's probably one of these 2, because these 2 look completely broken. The 2 voids look completely broken. So my guess is one of those 2 voids are not going to be a part of the fusion. It's probably going to be this guy, because this guy, wow, that just looks too good. All right, Ashwalker. Oh, that looks cool. Rare void attack Knight's Revenant, because, you know, they don't need any more, or they need some more people. Attacks one enemy, resets the cooldown of Devastator, which is his A2 looks like, if this attack kills an enemy. All right. This Devastator attacks one enemy, has a 65% chance that books up to an 85% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn, decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 10% if this attack is critical. Okay, it's on a 4-turn cooldown. His A3 Backbreaker attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 15% weaken debuff for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown, books down to a 3, and that actually books up to a 90% chance. Interesting. All right, nothing special, I don't think. Increases ally speed in all battles by 12%. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, actually, when it comes down to the Doom Tower boss, or the 2 tower rooms, where it's just rares only, I mean, he does bring a weaken to the fight and a possible stun and speed aura. So he does have 3 things that could help. Whether or not you could find someone that does it better, I don't know. But he does have 3 things that could help in those Doom Tower rooms. All right, next we've got Candle Guard. Hey, what's your job? I guard candles. Well, all right. So, a rare magic attack dwarf. Light of Scrutiny is her A1. Attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of removing a random buff. Okay. And that books up to 60% chance. Has a 50% chance, it books up to a 70% chance of stealing 1 random buff instead, if the target has 3 or more buffs. Okay, so there's a 60% chance of removing 1, but if they have 3 or more, then there's a 60% chance or 70% chance of stealing it. So you take it. Attacks all enemies. Has a 50% chance of placing a 15% weaken debuff for 2 turns. And that books up to 75% chance. And then it's on a 4-turn cooldown that books down to a 3. And then Focused places a 25% increased attack buff and a 15% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 3 turns, then attacks all enemies. It's on a 6-turn cooldown, books down to a 3. So she's got 2 AoEs. So, I mean, depending on what her multipliers are, who knows? All right, and then next we've got Hellfreak. It's a rare spirit affinity attack demon spawn. Vile Blades attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 20% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. And that 20% books up to a 40% chance. Wow, that's a lot of books. Mind Games attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of stealing all buffs from the target before attacking. And that 50% chance books up to 75% chance. That's actually really good if you're stealing all the buffs. That's MacLeod does that, right? Does that on the A3, I think it is. And that's on a 4-turn cooldown, books down to a 3. And then Worst Nightmare swaps HP with an enemy, then grants an extra turn. Ooh, on a 6-turn cooldown, books down to a 4. Swaps HP with an enemy, then grants an extra turn. That means he could swap HP, then attack that champion. That's actually really, I mean, it's just like Astrolith, I think. But a rare. I mean, so what we're saying is Astrolith is just as good as a rare. All right. Increase allied speed in all battles by 10%. All right, and I think this is the last one. Yep. Lumberer. Huh. Okay. Well, I mean, interesting. Lumberer. All right. I like the art. The art is fantastic. It's a rare force attack Ogren tribe. Gigantic pulverizers. Attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance of placing a 25% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 20% chance of increasing the duration of any decreased defense debuff by 1 turn. And that 30% chance boosts up to a 50% chance, and that 20% up to 40. Okay. Interesting. All right. Attacks one enemy on his A2. Attacks one enemy has a 50% chance that books up to 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. That's on a 4-turn cooldown. That books down to a 3-turn. That's flat. Okay. So that's the big decreased defense on a rare, so that's good. Any rares that drop the 60% decreased defense is good. The fact that it's only one enemy, though, that kind of sucks. But I do like his A1 being able to extend that debuff as well. All right, massive momentum places a 15% decreased crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns, then attacks all enemies. So there's an AoE. That's on a 5-turn cooldown. The book's down to a 4. That should be... Why is it a 4? Why is it a 4-turn cooldown? I mean, I think if you're a newer player, this might be a good one to have for Clan Boss. This dude will definitely help you in Clan Boss, I think, when you're a beginning player. So, yeah. If you're a newer player, then this guy might be someone you want to get your hands on. So, but either way, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about these new champions, who you can't wait to get your hands on. Are you going for the fusion, or is this a hard pass for you? But let me know in the comments. But other than that, if you like what you've seen and you want to see more, hit the like button and join the Hive by hitting the subscribe button. And we'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.